Chapter 72. A Miraculous Mountain Climb. The little maiden was wrapped in a pleated blue dress, and with light laced shoes on her feet. The head covered with an artfully weaved straw hat. And since I had been rather slow in answering her first question, she grasped my hand and said, "But Lord, you my life, say it please, whether I am pleasing to you in this way." Say I, "That is obvious, my most beloved Jara. You are exceedingly pleasing to me. If only all people were as pleasing to me as you, then everything would be all right. But there are thousands in the world, and indeed thousands of thousands, who don't please me as you do. But these are the pure worldlings, and you are an angel. But now it is time to go, for it is already the third part of day." With these words, all but the domestics get up and join me on my way. It speaks for itself that Jara constantly walked by my side, as did the centurion and Ebal. Coming to the cliff faces within which only exceptionally steep ravines spiraled upwards, the centurion remarked, "Lord, there is no thought of climbing here with natural powers, for the ditches are terribly steep, wet, and extensively overgrown with thorn rushes. If no other way can be found, then by natural means we shall not get up there inside 10 days. Say I, "Are you really so tired already? Yet we nonetheless have already more than a third of the way behind us. Just look behind you and you shall see how high up we are already." The chief looked around and got a shock when he realized that we already found ourselves nearly halfway up and among the steepest cliff faces and almost vertical drops. After some fearsome astonishment, the centurion said in a somewhat feverish tone, "No, let this be understood by whoever will. How we all got this far through this gorge is beyond me. We did indeed climb steeply already, yet I did not feel any particular strain. Nonetheless, there are now perpendicular walls ahead of us. Question, how shall we get over these?" Say I, "Don't you notice that we don't stand still, but constantly pace forward?" Says the centurion, "Yes, this I notice indeed, yet when I look ahead, the all possibility of progress disappears." Say I, "Behold, one just has to be a good guide to find the straightest path through all obstacles. Behold, the gorge ahead is already the gate to the highest pinnacle." Says the chief, "Yes, how can it be? How were we able so soon to come up through these almost perpendicular rock faces? We are not under way an hour by far, yet are so close to the highest peak that only a few paces separate us from the top." Says the very cheerful Jara, "But Julius, how can you ask where God the Lord is our guide? He could just as well carry us to the top over these cliffs, over which never ever before any human set foot. Since we know that we have here to do with the Almighty, every further question is futile. We can only melt before Him with love and deepest reverence, and eternally thank Him from life's profoundest depths that He deemed us worthy of such unheard-of grace. But to ask Him how omnipotence and wisdom is capable of such, I find absurd. And even if He were to let us in on it, one can ask to what extent we would understand it, and whether we would gain omnipotence therewith. For sure, to the extent that He wills it, we would accomplish the miraculous out of ourselves. but beyond his holy and almighty will, never, surely. Say I. Oh, you little wise one, you! Who would have looked for so much of the brightest wisdom in you? I say unto you, that there are very few on earth like you. But one thing I must say unto you, notwithstanding my exceeding love for you, and this consists in asking you that in future you should be far more frugal with your pure wisdom, and only open your mouth when it is strictly necessary. Here surely this is not necessary, since, as you can see, I myself am present and know how to answer everyone's question quite satisfactorily and thoroughly. Look, if our friend Julius were not such a truly wise man, then you would now have hurt him deeply. But he is a wise man who is good and honest towards all, and hence is happy with your childlike wise instruction. In future, however, you shall have to be as unassuming as possible towards everyone, and only therewith you shall be my true bride. Have you properly comprehended these my words in your heart? Says Jarrah, somewhat aggrieved. Indeed, Lord, but I fear that you now not love me as before, and this saddens my heart. Say I, don't let that trouble you. Now I love you much more than before. Says Jarrah, but the good chief shall be cross with me. Says the centurion, not at all, my truly celestial Jarrah. I am only too thankful that you told me a purely celestial truth, from your heavenly heart. Oh, Jarrah, we too shall have much to discuss yet, for I sense it that your pure little heart is full of heavenly wisdom. Wherefore let us remain the best of friends. Say I. Now, my most beloved Jarrah, are you satisfied with such conclusion? Says Jarrah, now indeed, but I shall have to get a grip on myself from now on. For to be presumptuous has sometimes been my weakness, but it shall not henceforth be so, for your words are supremely holy to me. Say I, very well then, so let us take the few remaining steps to the mountain's pinnacle,